Hello guys, I'm going to present to you, in my opinion, the easiest tense/grammatical structure in English, present simple. This is in fact one of the first grammatical structures of English that you have to learn, because it's the fundamental building blocks for the rest of the English language. In this video, it will solve most of the problems that you have. I recommend turning on English subtitles and translating some words that you're interested in and don't know. The present simple is a tense used in English to talk about daily habits and routines, general facts and universal truths, permanent situations. It's very similar to the Spanish Presente Simple. For example, yo estudio inglés, I study English. I hope that the familiarity that it resembles to Spanish will help you have an easier time understanding it. Remember, the more important the information is to you, the easier it will be to learn and remember it. Keep in mind, translation is helpful, but not always accurate. Some English expressions or words don't have an exact translation in Spanish. That's why it's important to learn a word's meaning and message, not just its translation. If you see a word you don't know, you can translate it first, but then try to understand it in the context where you found it. This will help you connect meaning and usage in a natural way. Main uses. When do we use the present simple? The daily habits and routines. We use the present simple to talk about actions we do regularly. These are the things we do every day, every week, or very often, like brushing our teeth, having lunch, or walking to school. You can pronounce any upcoming sentences with me you like. Examples. I wake up at 7 a.m. She goes to school every day. We eat dinner at 8 o'clock. He usually takes the bus to work. My brother exercises twice a week. They clean the house on Saturdays. General facts and universal truths. We also use the present simple to describe facts that are always true. These facts don't change. They're scientific, natural, or widely accepted. The sun rises in the east. Water boils at 100 degrees. The earth orbits the sun. Most plants need sunlight to grow. Birds fly in the sky. Cats hate water. Permanent states. We use the present simple for long-lasting or permanent situations. These are not temporary. They describe identity, residence, professions, preferences, and more. Examples. He lives in Mexico City. My parents speak Spanish and English. She works as a teacher. They love classical music. Here are the formation of affirmative sentences. We form affirmative sentences in the present simple by using the subject followed by the base form of the verb. For third person singular, he, she, it, we add s or es. Now, I can tell you all about the basic structure in the third person singular, but in reality, you can't use these little formulas every time you're about to say something in present simple or for any other grammar structure, because it will leave you thinking for longer than expected, and it's like having to multiply multiple numbers every time you want to say something. So I recommend watching a lot of English content, including videos like this too, and apply this knowledge into real life. You can apply this method to any other aspect of English or for any other language, and word orders, formations of sentences, and comprehension will come to you naturally. Here's the basic structure. Subject plus the base form of the verb. And here are the examples. I play soccer. We watch TV. I visit my grandparents every month. You study hard for exams. We clean our desks every Friday. And for third person singular, he, she, it, add s or es to the verb. He plays soccer. She watches TV. It rains a lot here. He finishes work at 6 p.m. She teaches English on weekends. The baby sleeps early. My friend studies medicine. The teacher explains the topic well. And a note, add es if the verb ends in sh, ch, x, ss, or o. Examples, he washes the car, she goes to school, the baby watches cartoons, he fixes computers, the teacher misses no class, she teaches with passion. You can choose to either memorize every word which ends with s or es, or like I said, consume hours of English content and naturally acquire which ones contain s or es, or none. Here the formation of negative sentences is to say that something does not happen. Use the auxiliaries don't for I, you, we, they, or doesn't for he, she, it. The main verb stays in base form. And here are the examples for don't and doesn't. And like I said, you don't have to memorize which pronouns are used in don't and which ones use doesn't. With the correct amount of English content consumption, you can naturally acquire the knowledge. And I put this disclaimer, don't is short for do not, but we always use don't. We only use do not when we want to emphasize that me or someone doesn't do something. For example, if I want to emphasize I don't like broccoli to someone, I can say I do not like broccoli. In the structure, subject plus do/does plus not plus base form the verb. I don't like broccoli. You don't play tennis. We don't work on Sundays. They don't watch horror movies. I don't eat meat. You don't speak Russian. We don't open on holidays. I don't drink coffee. And here are the verbs with doesn't. He doesn't play soccer. She doesn't watch TV. It doesn't rain today. My dog doesn't bark at night. He doesn't speak German. The machine doesn't work properly. She doesn't like loud music. My dad doesn't drive to work. Here are some sentences that are common that could happen with conversations. Affirmative. I study every morning. She speaks English. They live in Guadalajara. He writes emails every day. My mom cooks very well. The store opens at 9 a.m. We start class at 7 a.m. every weekday. The cat sleeps on the sofa. The doctor works at the hospital. He walks his dog every afternoon. Negative. I don't study at night. He doesn't speak French. We don't live in the city. She doesn't drive to work. They don't eat fast food. It doesn't snow in this area. My friends don't like horror movies. The restaurant doesn't open on Mondays. She doesn't enjoy science fiction. He doesn't call his parents often. Conclusion. Here's a small review of what we learned. The present simple is used for habits and routines, accent truths, permanent situations, affirmative structures, and negative structures. But learning doesn't stop here. To truly master the present simple, or English as a whole, you need to use it every day. Here are a few tips. Talk to yourself in English using present simple sentences. For example, I brush my teeth, I go to work, it feels cold today. Use it in conversations with friends who speak English. Even short, simple phrases help. Watch or listen to English content daily. YouTube videos, series, podcasts, music. The present simple appears all the time. Remember that English is not a subject that you study like math or geography. It is a form of communication and you need to consume a lot of English. Trust me, after months of mostly consuming English, it will be easier pointing out when someone or yourself is wrong. Apply more practice than just simple grammar drills or say simple sentences. It's better to have a decent understanding first than to start speaking straight away. But I'm not saying to not speak at all, just some practice right after you learn something. This is a natural way to acquire a language. Think about it, you almost never had to learn your native language by using flashcards and memorizing word orders. You learn your language because of the amount of hours you're exposed to it and by how important it is to you. If you see a word you don't know, translate the word by itself first, and then try to understand it in the context where you saw it. This helps you learn vocabulary and grammar naturally. Here are important notes. I recommend you write them down so you can revise later. The translation is useful, but not everything can be translated exactly. Some English expressions and grammar don't have direct equivalents in Spanish. That's why you should focus on learning the meaning and the message of the word or sentence, not just the translation. With lots of exposure, you'll start to recognize patterns, you'll learn which verbs take S or yes, and get a feel for when to use don't or doesn't, without needing to think too hard about it. And always remember, the more important and meaningful the information is to you, the easier it is to remember it. Connect new knowledge to your own life and experiences. After watching this video, have a conversation with someone using present simple to see if you learned it. You're not going to be able to retain all the information with just one watch. Repetition is another key to memorization or acquisition. So after you had a conversation with someone but still have trouble, rewatch this video in Spanish subtitles. and then watch again with English subtitles. Thanks for watching.